Hello and welcome back to Crafts Go Bloom. Today we're going to be making this no-sew crochet bat pattern. Now I made this bat with purple eyes and black yarn, but it can be difficult to see these stitches as I'm trying to do a tutorial in black. For the one we're going to make today, I am going to use a gray Bernat blanket yarn, and this was an Ogo color that I just used a yarn winder to wind into a cake of yarn. And I'm also going to use a scrap of Bernat baby blanket white. The original bat that you saw was made in Bernat blanket in the color coal. Some other supplies that we're going to need today are a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, safety eyes, a crochet hook. Use whatever size hook you need to use for the type of yarn that you're using. I'm going to be using a size 6 hook with Bernat blanket yarn today, and a stitch marker. The last supply we're going to need is stuffing. I use polyfill stuffing and I buy it in large boxes, so I have it sitting just off camera, but you will need stuffing to fill your project near the end. The first thing we're going to do for our bat is make 2 of these wings so that we have them ready to crochet on when we get to that round. And they are the exact same pattern. We're just going to make 2 of the same thing, and then you're crocheting over one side and crocheting over the other side when we get to the body of the bat. So to start for our wings, we're going to work in rows for this, and we're going to tie a slip knot. The way I tie a slip knot is to wrap it around my fingers and pull it through the center. And then that is my knot. We're going to tighten that down. The first thing we're going to do is chain 2, and in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do 1 increase. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to do 2 increases. So we've got 4 stitches now, 4 stitches across. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to do an increase in every one of these for a total of 8 stitches at the end. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn, and for row 4 we're going to do a triple crochet. For a triple crochet, you're going to yarn over twice, insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the next stitch we're going to yarn over and do a half double, which means you're going to pull up 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And then we're going to do a slip stitch, which is just bring our yarn through like that. And then we're going to chain 2, do another treble, another half and a slip stitch after that. And then we're going to do a half double and end this with a treble, end this row with a treble. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're not going to turn though. We're going to crochet along the top of this wing. If you look at it, we've made these points down here, and we're going to clean up this edge and make that look nicer. So you're going to single crochet 12 evenly across here, and when you get to this tail, crochet over it to hide that in there, and it will smooth out that bump. So when we're working along the back, we're going to put 2 single crochets into that treble that we just did to start, but we don't want to go way down in here because we're going to leave a really big gap if we do that. So I'm just looking for any loop in the back here that I can actually get my hook into to do those first 2. And then for the rest of it, just evenly crochet 10 across the back. And when you get to that 10th stitch, you are kind of going up the side of it just a little bit. But that's going to even out how it looks on both of these points. And then I'm going to chain 1 and cut off my tail. Now I want to weave in both of these ends, and this is my front side and here is my back side. And I need to be careful when I'm weaving in this end. I have done this before. So what you want to be careful of is that you're not pulling this too tight, because if you do on the front here, you're going to pull in right here and it's going to make this little divot, and then it will show on one of your wings on the bat. That part will stick off and it won't match the other side. It'll look kind of strange. So you want to make sure that you're just gently pulling those through and you're not distorting it from the front, because I had one that was like that and then I had to make sure that I could hide it one time. So be careful of that. Continue weaving these in, cut them off, and go back and make a second wing so that you have both of them ready for the body. Now that I've finished both of these wings, I'm going to set those aside and let's get to work on the main body. We're going to take our yarn and make a magic ring to start with. So to make a magic ring, I pinch the yarn under my thumb, wrap it around 3 fingers, and pinch on that X. Go across the back of my pinky and squeeze. Put my hook under the first loop. I grab the second one and turn. And then I pull through that yarn that was on my pinky. If you didn't catch all of that the first time, go ahead and rewind and watch that until you have a magic ring. For round 1, we're going to put 6 single crochets into this magic ring. And then place that stitch marker in the last stitch. For round 2, we're going to increase in all of the stitches around, and we're going to have a total of 12 stitches at the end. And an increase, if you're unfamiliar, is just doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch. For round 3, we're going to do 1 increase and then 1 single crochet, and we're going to repeat that pattern around 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. For round 4, you're going to increase and then do 2 single crochets and repeat that pattern around 6 times for a total of 24 stitches. For round 5, we're going to single crochet 17, and then I will meet you back here for the ears. And if your project is starting to cup like this, go ahead and flip it. This is the outside, and the end where you have your tail is always the inside. Once you have your 17 single crochets, we're going to do a double, a triple, and a double all in the next stitch to make the ear. And for a double, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a double crochet. And the triple, you're just going to yarn over twice and then keep pulling your hook through 2 loops, and then you'll do it 3 times. And so we'll yarn over one more time to get that last double to finish the ear. And we'll leave that alone, single crochet 4, and do the exact same thing for the next ear. Now for that last stitch, remove your stitch marker, and we're going to go in the back loops only. And if you're not sure how to do that, insert your hook just the way you normally would. You can kind of pull those apart. You have that V that makes your stitch, And we're only going to go into that back loop, just that one, and do a single crochet there. And we'll pop those ears out. For round 6, we're going to single crochet in the back loops only of the next 17 stitches. And when you get to the back of the ear, you are going to single crochet 1 in the back of the bottom loops of that treble stitch. So let me get around there and I will show you how to do that. Once you have those 17 single crochets completed in the back loops only, you're going to stop and you're going to skip the top of the stitches for the ear, and we're going to go to the back, and you can see these 2 bars right here. We're going to go through those, and sometimes it's difficult for me to get my hook in there like the normal way that I would crochet, so I have to use my finger and finagle it in there. Oops, there we go. Now you can see. I can almost never just like crochet my hook in there. I have to use my finger to get it to work. And so once you do that, you're just going to single crochet there. Single crochet in the back loops only of the next 4 stitches, skipping over that ear. Do the same thing back here. And we're going to go back to just a regular single crochet on that last stitch. And you'll want to count. You'll do the 4 stitches in between the ears, and then count 1, 2, 3, and make sure you're skipping over the ear when you put in that last stitch. For round 7, you're just going to single crochet 24 around. For round 8, we're going to start by single crocheting 15, and then I will meet you back here and we will single crochet over the wings. Once you have your 15 single crochets, go ahead and grab your wing. Now, I have a little bit of an indent on this one that I don't like, so I'm going to hide that right now so that both of my wings look a little more uniform when I have them on there. If that's happened to you and you have one that's got a little indent here and you don't like it, you can hide it by crocheting it here. So looking at this, we're going to put 3 single crochets through this into the body of the bat so that it holds it in there. And we're going to start crocheting down here. So we need to kind of start from the top and count 1, 2, and 3 to figure out where we want to put, our first stitch. So we're going to go, I'm going to count them this way too. I'm going to put 1 there eventually, 1 here eventually, and the first one I'm going to stick here. I put my hook through the wing, move it out of my way, and then find the stitch where I'm supposed to be going. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through to finish off that single crochet. Same thing here. We're just going to get it on the hook, double check that we've got the right stitch we're supposed to be in, and finish that single crochet, and then we'll get that last one. And we've attached our wing. Next, we're going to single crochet 5. And on that 5th stitch, it's our last stitch of the round, but we're going to start crocheting over the wing. So as far as the round is concerned, we only have 1 more stitch, and we're going to figure out our 3 stitches on here so that this wing lines up with the first wing. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. Insert my hook there. And get that single crochet. And I'm going to stop even though I'm not done with the wing and get my stitch marker in here because that will matter later on. For round 9, you're going to start with these 2 single crochets over the wing, and then for the rest of the round you're just going to do 22 more single crochets. Alright, starting to come together. So finish those 22 single crochets and I'll meet you back here. Now that we've finished round 9, I'm going to go ahead and pull out that working yarn and let's add our eyes and teeth. For safety eyes, they come in these 2 pieces, and you have this harder the eye that sits on the outside, and then you have this softer plastic that's a little bit squishy that goes on the inside, and you're just going to push this softer plastic piece over it like that until it pops, and it will lock on these ridges there. And I like to place my eyes between rounds 2 and 3. And they are about 3 stitches apart. Mostly I just look for this center part of the ear and go straight in from there. I think that is looking a little too close together though. So let's try moving it over one. I think that's looking better. So let's get those back snapped on. Push it through with your thumb. And then snap that down until it clicks. You won't hear it click usually, but you'll feel it. And I do have some safety eyes that are more difficult to put on than this, but that's why these are my favorite, because these are easy to do. And now we just need to get our scrap of white and our tapestry needle and work on making the little teeth. Now the stitches, they show up okay on camera in the black here, but what we're looking at is round 1, and then round 2 is right here. So in between, excuse me, that's round 3. So in between round 1 and round 2, that's kind of coming up in here, over round 2 is where we're going to be putting these teeth. And when I embroidered them, I just made a little V for each of those. And they have about 1 stitch in between them. The reason I like to embroider the faces on my amigurumi before I have closed them up is so that I can tie the knot on the inside and then stuff that tail in, and I don't have to do any of that sewing. And I think we're looking pretty good there. So let's go ahead and get back to our working yarn and pull that tight again. Now for rounds 10 and 11, you're just going to single crochet 24 around. So make sure you do 2 rounds of that for 10 and 11, and I'll meet you back here when I'm finished. For round 12, we're going to invisible decrease and then single crochet 2 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. And to make an invisible decrease, you're going to put your hook through the front loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, just like a regular single crochet. And then we'll do 2 single crochets, and I'll show you one more invisible decrease. You're doing a regular single crochet, you're just happening to go through the first 2 loops, the front 2 loops of the next 2 stitches. So repeat that around, and I will meet you back here. For round 13, we're going to invisible decrease and then do 1 single crochet, and we're going to repeat that pattern around 6 times for a total of 12 stitches. Now that I'm done with round 13, I'm going to go ahead and pull that working yarn out and start stuffing the body. Okay, I'm happy with that amount of stuffing for now. You will want to keep stuffing as you go. you will probably want a little bit more in the tail of it by the time we actually create the tail. Now for round 14, you're just going to single crochet 12 around. For round 15, we're going to do 6 invisible decreases, and this is where I add more stuffing if I'm not happy with what I've got going on. And I like to get 3 or 4 stitches around in round 15 so that I have some stitches in place to give me that height to hold in that stuffing. But if you wait until you have all 6 of them done, it's going to be hard to get your finger in there to finish stuffing it. Then when I get to the end, I'm going to chain 1 to finish off and cut a long tail that we can weave in. So pull that yarn through and thread that onto your tapestry needle. And if you want to, you can still add a little bit more stuffing. There's still a little bit of a hole that we need to close up. And the reason that I like to weave in my tails quite a bit is because I never know if they're going to a small child at some point, and at some point they usually need their things run through the washing machine or something like that. So I want to make sure that this tail is nice and snug and not going to come out. And I have made things for my kids, and I have 3 kids. Inevitably something needs to go through the washing machine, and I've never had any of my tails come loose, so I just go ahead and always do this on my projects. When you are weaving your tail in like this, though, you do want to be careful that you're just pulling it until it is exactly where you want it, and you're not continuing to yank it tight. If you do that, you're going to see it. It's going to be like really tight in one round and nowhere else. So I stick my needle in there, grab a couple of stitches, and I'm going through the loops of these stitches. I'm not going behind the entire thing. Pull that through, and then just pull it until it's sitting right where we want it to, and that just disappears right into the stitch. And then we're going to cut that off. And that's it, guys. This is a nice and simple pattern. You get to do a little bit of a technique where you crochet over something and you don't have to sew it on. And this takes me about 30 minutes to complete when I'm the video will end up being a little shorter because I cut out parts of it, but it really does only take me about half an hour to get this done. The wings can be pushed back if you like them open. They can stay open pretty well with burnout blanket. They do curl a little bit, and if you squeeze them down like this, you can kind of get them to also stay like that. So it is just whatever you like going on for the bat that you have made. And again, I would prefer making them in black, but if you can see here, it's much easier to see the stitches on the gray than it is the black. But I still think that this one turned out cute. I'm really glad that you made a bat with me today. Leave me a comment and let me know what color you chose to make your bat in, and subscribe to my channel for more pattern tutorials in the future. I will see you in the next one. Bye!